What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new breakdown, this time for our very first full-length trailer for The Dark Tower, the long-in-development and even longer-awaited film adaptation of Stephen King's legendary book series. Some quick first impressions. After the first two teasers that came out yesterday, it honestly looked like they might have been more or less adapting The Gunslinger, the first book in the series, but after this full trailer, I'm not so sure. I mean, there will probably still be some elements of that book in there, but it looks like they're definitely taking some liberties, to say the least. But there is a ton to break down and analyze here, from Easter eggs to new actors to some potential plot details even, so without further ado, let's dive right in. Our trailer opens with a shot of a small town with a huge citadel built into the cliffs above it, and we don't know for sure which town this is. I guess there are a few from the books to choose from, but to me it looks like it might be Gilead, Roland's home, although it kind of looks like it's in really bad shape. As Roland talks about how gunslingers were knights sworn to protect against the dark, we see him fighting some kind of monster, and Jake Chambers awaking suddenly like he was dreaming the whole thing as tremors rock his bedroom. Much like in the original book, Jake lives in New York City, but in this version he's plagued by visions of the Dark Tower, the Man in Black, and the Gunslinger, and draws them. It kind of seems to me like they might be combining the characters of Jake Chambers with his pseudo-psychic touch powers from the book, and Patrick Danville, a character from the last book who had the ability to alter reality by drawing it, so just something to watch for in the movie. The drawings of the visions are really cool and potentially really telling, as we see a lot of images of the tower and a few drawings of the Man in Black, and then later in other shots featuring things like the doorway he travels to Midworld through, the door in the middle of nowhere from one of the teasers yesterday, a really cool drawing that looks like it could be the Dark Tower in a field of roses like the iconic cover to the final book, and even some images that look like they could be slow mutants, but more on that in a bit. We get our first major Easter egg as Jake's therapist tells him the visions are just dreams, not reality, but as he says this, a tremor shakes his office, including a photo on his side table, which is an image of the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. Another major Easter egg for another Stephen King book comes in the middle of the trailer as Jake finds what looks like a ruined carnival somewhere in the woods, with the carnival sign still intact and reading Pennywise. That's right, the clown from It. And those kind of Easter eggs were probably my favorite thing about the trailer. I mean, they really seem to be embracing the Stephen King style of working in little hints or even overt references to his other books in just about all of his works, but Dark Tower especially, and I can't wait to find more when actually watching the movie. We also get to see how Jake gets to Midworld, and brace yourself, book fans, you might not like this one. So Jake seemingly stumbles on a portal to the other plane by locating an abandoned house he saw in his visions. For the uninitiated, the reason I say fans of the series might not like it is because in the series, Jake actually died, and that's how he ended up on Midworld at a way station, not by traveling through a portal. The portal in the movie actually looks interestingly very high-tech. I'm not sure what that's about because in the books, these doorways between worlds seemed a little more magical instead of technological, but hopefully we'll learn more about it in future trailers or at least the movie itself. Jake arrives on Midworld smack in the middle of the Mohine Desert, where he's quickly found by Roland, who seemingly much like the book thought he might have been the Man in Black from a distance. Jake recognizes Roland and shows him an image of the Gunslinger, to which Roland cryptically responds there are no gunslingers anymore, which kind of makes sense as Roland is the last, but it definitely makes it seem like the movie won't shy away from Roland's moral failings throughout the series. We see a really cool shot of the tower against a roiling crimson backdrop as some rubble falls from it, while Roland explains, in brief and simple terms for the trailer, that the tower protects both of our worlds, which I'm hoping is going to be expanded on in the movie as it's the universal nexus point in the series, but we'll see. To underscore that hell will be unleashed if it falls, we get some quick shots of Jake against a crimson flash, Roland going toe-to-toe with a monster, potentially the same one from earlier, and more looks at Matthew McConaughey's Man in Black, as they actually describe him as worse than the devil. Right on cue, the Man in Black warns Roland that death always wins, as we get our first look at the movie's equivalent of faceless goons. And we can't necessarily be sure what these guys are exactly, but they definitely look like they could be slow mutants, as they look roughly human, but clearly warped and corrupt. It's clear that Walter and Roland have a history, not only from the way they speak to each other and the fact that, of course, Roland is chasing him, but the Man in Black actually at one point asks the Gunslinger if he told Jake that whoever walks with him dies by the Man in Black's hand, potentially a reference to a previous quartet of Roland's meeting a more tragic end, as they did in the books, just not by the Man in Black. We later get an incredibly badass scene in which Roland shows off some of his gunslinger skill. As one of the mutants drags Jake away, Roland focuses and fires without looking through a window, a shirt, a plant, and ultimately the mutant's head. Roland's skill with weapons is shown off even more throughout the trailer, as we see his iconic quick reload from the books, diving and firing, and even a showdown between the gunslinger and the man in black that might be from a final action sequence. We later also get a really cool scene in which Roland is teaching Jake how to hold and fire a gun while he recites part of the gunslinger teachings. I do not aim with my hand. He who aims with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I aim with my eye. I do not shoot with my hand. I shoot with my mind. I do not kill with my gun, I kill with my heart. And when Roland says he who aims with his hand has forgotten the face of his father, we see a really cool scene with a younger looking Idris Elba, and who the trailer makes it seem like is Roland's father, Roland Deschain, who it looks like will be played by Dennis Haysbert. That's right, the Allstate guy. Something you might be upset about if you're a fan and looking for a straight up adaptation of the Gunslinger. It seems like a huge chunk of the movie takes place on Earth, and we've known this for a while based on promotional images, but the action definitely looks like it shifts back there in a big way. We don't know why, but we see Roland, Jake, and the Man in Black in different places in New York City, and later some well-armed thugs with earth weapons in what looks like somewhere in Midworld to me. I'm not sure if this necessarily means there's going to be some crossover with Roland and Jake escaping to Earth and later the Man in Black bringing some mercenaries from Earth back to Midworld, but it's kind of hard to tell in the moment, of course, but that's definitely what it seems like. This at least looks like it's going to result in some funny moments in the movie, as Roland asks Jake if they have guns and bullets on Earth, to which the kid responds that Roland is definitely going to like it there. Later in the trailer, there's also a scene in which the Man in Black walks through what looks like the same abandoned house where Jake found the portal earlier in the trailer and taps painted words on the wall reading, "All Hail the Crimson King." It's unsure right now whether or not the Crimson King will actually be a main player in this movie, and as far as I can tell, this is the only overt reference to him in the trailer, although some of the sequences of the tower bathed in crimson light make it seem like he might be referenced elsewhere in the movie. Ultimately, we'll just have to wait and see, but that's it. I won't talk your ear off anymore. There's plenty of cool stuff in there, a couple of neat Easter eggs, but also some potentially concerning things for die-hard fans of the series. Final thought time for me. I personally actually really liked it, but I'll admit I'm definitely a much more casual fan of the books than some people. So, I want to hear your thoughts. What did you think of the trailer, and what was your favorite moment? Let me know in the comment section down below. But that's going to do it for me here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider turning on your notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.